Buddy, how's everybody doing? Welcome to Trust Gurus. We are here again. I'm not traveling, I'm back home, so I hope this time everything goes fine. Anyway, welcome everybody. Today's theme is called Seize Seize the Day. So how our thoughts, beliefs, and decision create a new reality. Small wins bring big wins. I think it's a wonderful thing, and winning is always beautiful. So, but losing is beautiful too, because like that you can learn for the next win.
Mhm.
Don't forget. Okay, Bobby, would you like to go first?
Sure, thank you. And I I wanted to really express my gratitude because we went over 55,000 subscribers yesterday, and that just means so much. And I'm glad that people are finding value and they like the content. And please tell your friends about it and keep it up because it really means a lot to us. And we talk a lot about how to thrive in our lives as transgender women. And sometimes it may look like, oh, they've just got it all so together. And, I'll never be that comfortable in who I am. And I wanted to be sure to everybody understood that we all started from a place that doesn't look anything like it looks right now. And we got to where we are one day at a time. And boy, speaking of one day at a time, I don't know if any of you have ever been part of a 12-step group or anything like that, where something in your life had gotten out of control and you finally realized you needed to help. And so you go to a meeting. That's a small step. You meet some people, you hear some things that address how you've been thinking, and the next thing you know, you had one day of sobriety. And it might have been a really long time since you had one day of sobriety. And those groups are so good about a whole week of sobriety, a whole month of sobriety, and they have little tokens for each thing. And so finally, you meet somebody that's got their 20-year token. So they have been sober for 20 years, and they did that one day at a time. And sometimes um, you have to do it 1 hour at a time, uh, depending on what it is you're struggling with. And so I think all of us understand the value of small steps to create that wind up creating great lives. I think about another thing I thought about was once upon a time, and it happens to people in graduate school a lot that decide they want to enter a doctoral program or something like that. And it's real typical for people to get really freaked out when it comes time to start cranking out that dissertation. And there's a whole lot of people that they'll say, oh, well, I'm in a doctoral program and I'm ABD, all but dissertation. And I remember being in that place myself. And again, it being positive and attracting people and resources and teachers and things into your life and just people to encourage me. And one of the people that really encouraged me a lot um, had a PhD in Chinese history. So he was always filling me with Chinese proverbs. And two of them that really helped me. He says, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step."
Yes.
And then there was another one that really helped. It was like, begin what is difficult where it is easy. And just those two little things just really supercharged me. He says, begin what's difficult where it's easy. Why don't you write the limitations of your research, that section first? It's like, oh, sure, I can do that. I know everything that's wrong with what I've been doing. So yeah, I could start by writing the limitations. And what I learned though from that is that, oh, and I think it was Goethe, the philosopher, that said everything is difficult before it is easy. And that's the same idea. Everything is difficult before it's easy. When it comes to transition or anything like that, it's difficult before it starts looking like it's effortless. And oh my gosh. So those are just a couple of things that I've learned just through experience and just the value of being able to get up out of bed and say, well, I'm not going to be able to produce 400 pages of a book today, but I can do one paragraph and or I can do one page. And that's really kind of one of the things that I use to encourage myself. It's I call it a good day if I've written one page, if I've created one page of text. And and if you do that every day, then you'll have 365 pages after a little while. So I've really learned the value of small steps and how everything is difficult before it's easy. Back to you, Ella.
Thank you. Yeah, it's absolutely true. You can only move one mountain, one stone at a time, right?
Mhm.
Jimmy, you go.
Yeah, it's really nice to see everybody this afternoon, and so this is how I look at things. I was thinking about this earlier. I'm again uh, on the rooftop of the parking garage at LA Fitness here in Fort Lauderdale, and this thought crossed my mind: the baby step things that Bobby was talking about. One repetition's not really going to do anything for you. 1,000 repetitions probably will. 100,000 repetitions will change your life. 1,000,000 repetitions will change your whole dynamic. And I think we're all about the same age here. I think, we've been on the planet a while, and I was in the dog food store yesterday, and I ran into somebody that I haven't seen in a while, and I got news that a couple of my classmates in high school years ago had some major medical issues. And I turned to this person and I said, the key is fitness. The key to not only longevity, see, it's not how long we live on the planet, it's the quality of life that we experience while we're on the planet. And so I've learned in through the discipline that I've garnered over the years of continually working out whether I wanted to or not. I'm in a position that I am thriving. I'm not just surviving. And this is another thing I tell folks. It took me many, 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 many years to get where I'm at right now. I'm in my prime right now, and I can't afford any kind of medical setbacks. It was a year ago, March, I had my right hip replaced. That was a setback, but I bulldozed through it, and I'm back better and stronger than I was before. So today we're talking about seize the day. So every day, organize your life in such a way that we have this is another thing I think about. We all have an image, a self-image of ourselves. In our psyche, we have a self-image of ourselves. The horsepower necessary to achieve that image in reality is within us. We would not be given that dream, that image, if it wasn't achievable. So all the seemingly setbacks that I have experienced in my life, and I knew this going into this hip surgery. It was years ago. I had an ACL in my left knee. rotator cuff, left shoulder. So I've learned through experience that I can recover from these things and come back better and stronger, because there's the old saying, you don't know what you have until it's gone. You take your fitness for granted until you break your toe and you can't go to the gym. So these are things that I've learned. Schwarzenegger wasn't born like that. He one repetition at a time, you get there. And like Ella said, you move a mountain one stone at a time. The bricklayer builds the castle one brick at a time. So if we look at life that way, if we live our life in such a way that every day we engage in one or more activities to bring us closer to achieving our goal. And the funny thing is, as we progress towards achieving our goal will change, because we're changing. As we grow and develop, our mind expands, our conscious becomes more connected to the cosmos. We get new ideas and we evolve. So life has the potential to be a continuing evolutionary process, for the better or for the worse. It's our choice. Ella.
Totally agree with you. I really do agree with you, because it's always the power of positiveness. Yes, seize the day. Jesus Christ, I have to tell you, today I had a really incredible day. Every day is incredible anyway. But you know what? You don't know where you go all the time. You can dream, and you have to dream. One of the most important things I've always thought is to think positive, because it attracts positiveness. And seize the day means as well the unexpected. And the unexpected is always there. Sometimes the expected comes reality, positive or negative. But don't forget one thing: negativity, or a negative expectancy, meaning that it is not what you hoped for, is a change for a change. Don't look at it as a negative. Look at it as a new structure. I mean, today, for me, this has been the case, because some of the political things which are happening here will change my attitude towards my business. It's not negative, it's a change. Take it positively. As you can only move mountain one stone at a time. In our world, in our lives, you know how many mountains we are always moving? Jesus Christ, I've been here so long, and I've seen so many things. It's been such a pleasure. And it's always a pleasure to see that mountains have been moved in a positive way, because you attracted your positiveness. And of course, don't forget, every single stone that you move in the right direction, it's for you. It's giving you self-confidence. It's giving you a whole new attitude of life. I am very, very glad that, that I've been experiencing what I've been experiencing. I mean, I was talking today with some people about, I've been going to India since many, many, many years. and seeing the evolution of those people and the evolution of that country, or even the evolution of the United States, sometimes in a positive way, sometimes in a more changing way, which probably is not the right way for me at the moment, but you can adapt and you can make something out of it, and find your new position again. That is life. You know, that is life. I mean, I even look at we were talking about how many people are looking at us, and we've got now 55,000 subscribers. That is something as well we've done one by one. And
Good. That's a good analogy. I love it.
and it is something that we've been building one by one. And I hope that you look at it, because it's not only for us, it's for you. It is really for you. We are old people. We've been here a while. We've had our experiences. I personally think that because we are transgender, we have very, very special experiences. And we have a vision of the world which is probably not the same as everybody else. But you know what? That's probably why we can do this. And that's probably why we're doing this, because we have something that most people don't have, and that is we appreciate what we feel and we take responsibility of what we feel. And we go forwards, and not everybody does that. And, it's very good what we do, because it gives us a completely different vision of the world. Anyway, I will join with our friends for the discussion, but thinking wins, because little wins big bring everything. Every day, every single day, I've got my little challenge, and by resolving my little challenge gives me a little win, and it gives me a hell of a lot of self-confidence. Sometimes I cannot resolve it the same day, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to be resolved. It means that it just takes a little bit longer.
Yeah, the oven's in the bread's in the oven.
Yes.
So how I look at it is we structure our lives in such a way that every morning we wake up, we are a new and improved version of ourselves. Keep that in the forefront of your mind when you're making decisions. Live your life, structure your life in such a way that every morning when we wake up, we are a new and improved version of ourselves.
Yep.
And you live your life with that principle, you'll forever be young, and you'll forever be growing, evolving. Ella.
What a deal. Well, Jimmy, can I ask you a question? Because, the motto of the Marine Corps is Carpe Diem, seize the day. And I was wondering how do how does that look within the Marine Corps? Is that something you all talk about every day, and you break it down into what does that look like?
Okay, so the motto of the Marine Corps is Semper Fidelis, which means always faithful.
Excuse me.
Always faithful. But so it has to do with expectancy.
Mhm.
Professionalism, excellence is expected of a Marine. So if you volunteer to join the Marines, you enter this with the expectation that you're going to have to bump it up a few notches. So that expectancy out in the world has to be a self expectancy. What do we expect of ourselves? What level do we hold ourselves to? What standards do you set for yourself? The Marine Corps sets a pretty high standard. So you have to work constantly in all aspects of human existence to achieve and then maintain that standard. You know, you'll never see an out of a shape Marine. You'll never see a Marine that's not squared away.
Yeah.
And that's because it's expected, and that's the discipline, that's the esprit de corps. So live your life, again, live your life in such a way that you have high expectations for you. Set a high bar for yourself. No one else is going to do it for you. We're the managers of our own lives. We're the architects of our own lives. And whatever standard you set for yourself, you have the innate horsepower to achieve that standard. Otherwise, you couldn't conceive of it. And I know in my life, I have a vision for myself. I'm a transgender Amazon warrior goddess. So regardless of what's put in front of me, I have the horsepower necessary to achieve that goal. And I think about that when I'm at the gym or when I'm interacting with other people. A transgender person, by virtue of blossoming as ourselves, we are ambassadors to a whole segment of society. So we're representatives of of a very unique group of people. And Ella mentioned something about the I don't want to mention the word politics, but I know it takes a enlightened individual to blossom as a butterfly, as a transgender individual. And a lot of folks that are living in the 3D world, the traffic jam world, they haven't evolved to the point to even consider the aspect of a transgender human being. So we've evolved to a higher plane. And so I pay no mind to folks that are on the traffic jam. Take the country road.
Yeah.
There's alternates to the traffic jam.
Yeah.
But I hope that answered your question. The Marine Corps motto is Semper Fidelis, which means always faithful.
Yeah, excuse me.
That's no excuse necessary.
Yeah, I've taught with every once in a while a Marine veteran will want to enter the teaching profession, and I just love it because they are so good at what they do, and in terms of classroom management and being a role model and having kids look up to them and all that stuff, and uh, just that's an impressive thing to have in your background. And so I was just curious about how that looked on a day in basis. Back to something more mundane. I was thinking about, I was used, before I transitioned, I had a lot of self-destructive kind of bad habits, and I wasn't interested in taking care of myself. I wasn't interested in living a long life, and I slid into things, and so I weigh almost 60 pounds less now than I did when I started. And it's like, oh my gosh, how do you lose that kind of weight? And it's funny. I have two really good women friends that I have known for over 40 years, and we all worked together out at Apple 40 years ago. We just bonded so closely. But one of them, uh, uh, at one point 40 years ago, she was just really discouraged about her weight. And she thought she would join Weight Watchers. And you spend the money, you get in the program, you do all this stuff, and when you go to your meeting each week, they weigh you. Um, Keep a little chart of your progress. And so she's all gung ho about being in Weight Watchers, and she goes and she gets weighed. She'd lost a fourth of a pound. And it was like, I have worked so hard all week, and that's all. I've lost a fourth of a pound. But she decided to keep coming back. And so she keeps sticking with the program, and she comes back a week later, and she's lost another quarter of a pound. And she's getting really discouraged. It's like, that's all I've got to show for 2 weeks of a half a pound. And later on, soon in that, she was just inside a refrigerator and she noticed a box of butter. And there's 4 sticks of butter in a pound of butter. Each one of those sticks is a quarter of a pound. And she pulls out this stick of butter and she says, she pulled out another one. She said, wow, I've lost 2 sticks of butter. I have extracted 2 sticks of butter from my body. They're not there anymore. And so what she did was she opened up those 2 sticks and she mashed them into a little mound and she put them on a saucer. And from then on, every week later, however much weight she lost when she went to Weight Watchers, she would buy that much butter and she'd put it on this little plate in her refrigerator. And that was like a visual thing for her to see how losing 1 stick of butter a week, it's like that is a small win. That is a small win. But oh my gosh, she just got so thin, and now she's still really thin 40 years later. But that's kind of become uh, a way of thinking that I adopted for myself. It's like I don't beat myself up if all I lost was a quarter of a pound because I know that's like taking a stick of butter out of it somewhere. And so I just want to encourage people that sometimes when you embark on this journey, you fantasize that you're going to have whatever, you're going to look a whole lot better next week than you did this week. Well, you will look better than next week than you did this week, but it'll only be like that much. But you keep going, and it really is cumulative, and it adds up after a while. But I don't know. I just really felt like telling her story because it really was powerful because she was so discouraged that she was working so hard and that's all she was losing until she just finally tried to quantify that. And when you think about uh, removing that kind of toxin from your body, that kind of fat and everything. It's like, uh, I really wanted to, encourage people that are trying to lose weight, but that's another thing where it just is very slow going. And there's so many things that we do that are really slow going. If say for electrolysis, if you've got laser treatments are really fast, but it only works if you've got black, dark hair. Lasers don't work on gray hair or blonde hair or red hair, and so you have to have electrolysis to do that. Oh my God, that's like one hair at a time, one hair at a time, and you go for an hour. And oh gosh, but then one day there's nothing left to remove, and that's the way it all works.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Ella, we're coming up on 30 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're absolutely right. And what you're telling before, it's really true. If you write 1 page a day, you have your book with 365 pages at the end of the year, which is absolutely correct, which is a very good analogy. Anyway, yeah, it's one little happiness a day makes a huge happiness. Never forget positiveness, abundance, gratitude. These are the 3 things which you really have, which create life for me. And I think it is very important that on those small wins, always put the positivity in the middle because that's what it brings to me. Brings a lot. Anyway, with those words, let's have a last round, very fast. Jimmy, would you like to go and tell something?
Sure. So our brief final thought. This is I came across this and I think it's kind of fitting for what we're talking about. Watch your thoughts. They become your words. Watch your words. They become your actions. Watch your actions. They become your habits. Watch your habits. They become your character. Watch your character. It becomes your destiny. Ella.
I give to Bobby.
Oh, Thank you. That's such a good reminder, Jimmy, because that's exactly the way it works. And there's so many of us that are not taking our thoughts captive. Um, and and instead I think that's really why I told the story about the butter and losing weight. It would have been real easy for them to just go the other way, say, oh, this isn't going to work. I'll never be thin. I'll never do it. This is ridiculous. It just so and and then that's the reality. Watch your thoughts because they create your habits, and your habits are really going to create your day-to-day life. And I struggle with that too myself because um, you know when you get to my age, you kind of imagine that you would have built a really great life, and now you're retiring and everything is just going to go fishing with your grandchildren and all of that stuff. But that's not the way it works. It's like, oh my gosh, I have got to be I've got to be more of an activist now than I ever have. I've got to work with more people than I've ever had to work for. And I do that just little things at a time. I'm spending this month. Um, I am next week. I'm going to drive over 1,000 miles, and I'm never going to leave my state because I'm just trying to meet people all over my state and encourage them and help them build stuff in their communities, organizations. I don't mean physical buildings, organizations, and that's that's the way I'm going to change the culture of my state right now is working with people in every corner to build back better. And I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm going to drive those 1,000 miles, 1 mile at a time. So but they'll
Well,
get done next week.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, yeah, I'm trying I've been lately. I've been traveling all over the world. Uh,
Mhm.
made too much miles in one month. One month I made so many miles on my on airplane miles you cannot believe.
5 million the last I heard. That's
No, no, I looked at my American airline thing. I had 25,000 miles in one month, which is a little bit much. Anyway, um, I hope in the next weeks that it will calm down. I had a really
Mhm.
great month. I really had a very, very small winds all over the place, which actually made a tremendous month. So we'll see what next holds for us, and we'll have some challenges. I know that we're going to have some challenges in the near future, but I'm welcoming them because it's going to be a new structure, a new life. So we'll see how that puts itself together. Anyway, with those words, and thank you everybody for subscribing us, for being loyal to us and coming back. And thank you very much. I hope that you
Tell
get
your friends.
I hope that you get something from us, and we'll be here to help you. And please don't forget, if you've got some questions, just go ahead and question. Okay? Thank you very much. Bye, everybody. See you next week.
Namaste.
We'll
Namaste.
be here next week again. Bye. Bye, everybody.